Thanks for tuning in to learn more about the Washington Academic Internship Program. We'll refer to it as WAIP from here on forward, but just by way of introduction, my name is Katie Hogan and I am our Director of Washington Programs. So I'm actually based in Washington, D.C. full-time. So fun and sometimes little known fact, Ohio State and the John Glenn College of Public Affairs have an office that is just steps away from the Capitol building. So you can find me there. And if you move forward with WAIP, we'll see each other probably 2 or 4 times a week in person if the program is offered in person, which we'll talk more about that. But the point is a lot of interaction with students throughout the week when you do the program. Sydney?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for watching. My name is Sydney Rubin. I'm the Washington Programs Coordinator. Like Katie, I'm also based in DC and will be with you all should you participate in WAIP and see you all 2 to 4 times a week with Katie.
Awesome. So moving right along. So just a note, we are recording this video in November 2020. So definitely an interesting time, which you've probably heard that phrase quite a bit in the last 9 or 10 months. So we just want to note at this moment, WAIP has transitioned fully online, and that is for the safety and in the best interest of our students, alumni, and internship sites. So to give a quick historical context, we took a pause in the summer of 2020 to make sure that we could offer the program online. We worked really hard to determine how to do that effectively. And then proud to share that we have transitioned the program online while meeting the core objectives of WAIP. So we'll talk more about this throughout the presentation, but the objectives of WAIP are to provide students with substantive professional experience with an organization or agency in Washington, D.C., provide substantive and engaging professional development activities through the lens of DC, and to connect students to a network in Washington, because so many of our students do want to land back in the nation's capital, and a really important part of that is having a network here. So I'm proud to share that while the program is online and that may not be ideal, it is the safest thing for our students, and we're still able to meet those 3 core objectives. At the time of this recording, fall WAIP was online, spring 2021 will be online, and then summer 2021 is yet to be determined. So we just wanted to share that the program will be offered in some format, but it is unclear what format it will be. And the Glenn College in Ohio State is working closely with public health experts to receive guidance in both Columbus and Washington, D.C. so that we make the best decision. But the good news is WAIP is here in some form or fashion. All right, so we are going to start by providing you with a basic overview of the WAIP program. So what is the Washington Academic Internship Program? So it is offered to any Ohio State junior or senior. So you need to have 60 credit hours at the time of the internship. So if you are wondering if you can do it the summer after you complete your sophomore year, the answer is yes, as long as you've completed 60 credit hours by the time that you start the WAIP program. It really is geared towards an upperclassman type of experience. We do encourage students to, even if you have the hours and you want to go your second year, while there certainly may be some exceptions, in general, the program is really geared towards upperclassmen at Ohio State. And I want to emphasize students of any major. So we are open to students who are just interested in public policy. Sometimes we have students come to us and say, oh, well, I thought this was just for students majoring at the John Glenn College of Public Affairs. And I'm excited to say that it is open to any student. The common theme is that there's an interest in public service or public policy. So we get a lot of political science majors, international affairs, but we also see a lot of students from the humanities, even from the STEM fields. We've had students come to us from engineering and pre-pharmacy because, of course, policy touches their fields as well. So really excited to be open to any student. The prerequisite requirement, you need to take either Public Affairs 2110 or Political Science 3115. So that class is designed to give you some foundation in public policy and prepare you for the academic coursework that you would be taking while in WAIP. I already talked about how it's open to any major. It is open year round. So we have autumn, spring, and summer sessions, and you spend the term in Washington, D.C. So you, in non-COVID times, students would move here and spend the entire semester living and working in Washington, D.C. while earning 12 hours of credit. And that is a full semester of credit, as you know. And we work really closely, proud to say, to get students at an internship that aligns with their interests. We work really hard to get to know students one-on-one to best understand what their objectives are for doing the WAIP program, why DC appeals to them, how it fits in their long-term goals, and then helping them find an internship accordingly. All right, so we're moving along. We talked a little bit about this during our introductions, but to dive a little bit deeper. So, once again, there is a full staff based in Washington, D.C. So, Sydney and I, as well as a faculty member, live in Washington, D.C. That's where our lives are, that's where our jobs are. So, the nice thing about that, and I mentioned this at the beginning, is you see us pretty frequently. Even in the virtual program, you see us at least twice for live sessions. And then, of course, have a number of opportunities to meet one-on-one, to get support from us one-on-one as you need it. So it's a very high-touch program. You're not heading to DC on your own by any means. So we are here, we have an office. The course instructor, so I will say I oversee and teach 4191.02. We're going to get more into that, but that's half of your experience in WAIP and the more experiential internship side. The other half is more academic. That's a capstone level course and a policy course, and the class instructor changes for that, but it's always somebody who has academic or professional experience. And then in Columbus, we are lucky enough to have Chris Adams, who's our Director of Student Services and Programs. You can see his dot number there, and I should say you can see Sydney and I's as well. You can reach out at any time, don't be shy. But Chris has worked with the program for, gosh, like well over a decade, so he's really familiar with WAIP. He's really helpful in preparing students to get to DC. He is very good at helping students figure out how this fits in their degree plan. But that we have a full staff that is dedicated to WAIP, and I think that just speaks to the seriousness with which the Glenn College appreciates this program and runs this program. Okay, academics. So it's not just an internship, and of course the word academic is in the program name, so we're going to take some time to dive into that. So there is a very strong academic component to the program. So as I started to talk about just a moment ago, you do earn a full semester, 12 credit hours of Ohio State academic credit. So 6 hours of that is with me. I'm the instructor for 4191.02, and those 6 hours are for the completion of your internship and professional development workshops and other DC engagement. You're then going to have 3 hours for your seminar class, 40/20, which meets once a week, typically in the evenings after your internship with that instructor that I referenced a few slides ago. And then the other 3 hours is for that policy paper, Public Affairs 4021. This is a capstone level paper. It is also taught by that instructor that teaches 40/20, and those two work very closely together, 40/20 and 21. So 40/20 is a lecture based class, and then, or 40/20 is a lecture based class, and 40/21 is the policy paper. You all need to consult your academic advisors with any questions about credit. And frankly, it's never too soon to do so. WAIP is a big decision. This is 12 academic hours of your whole degree. Strongly encourage you to talk to your academic advisor about your degree plan and how WAIP fits in. You could potentially use it towards a major or a minor, but again, the best person to address in what way would be your advisor. And you can use WAIP credit towards a minor. So the Glenn College offers a couple of exciting minors. And so our students that major outside of the John Glenn College often do obtain one of these minors. I would say the most popular is the public policy minor. So with that prerequisite that I talked about earlier in the presentation, as well as the 12 hours in WAIP, by and large, students typically can complete that minor with just one additional class beyond what you've already done for WAIP. So I would say that almost all of our students who are not majoring in the Glenn College, they're majoring outside of it, but participate in WAIP, typically obtain the public policy minor. We also have other options. We have the nonprofit minor, we have the civic engagement minor. These are some great options to round out your degree and diversify your academic background, making WAIP work for you. So we do have a minor advisor. His name is Steve Fink. He is great. He is fink.77@osu.edu. If you're thinking you would like to obtain the minor, please do reach out to him. And I talked a little bit about this prereq, but you are required to enroll in either Public Affairs 2110 or Political Science 3115 works as well. So again, this is your introductory course. This will be your foundational course to prepare you for 40/20 and 21. You don't need to complete the prereq before you apply. We get this question a lot, but it must be completed before you begin WAIP. So you couldn't be taking it while you're in WAIP. You need to take it before you head to DC. So, potentially it could be offered online in the form of a second term class. You can enroll in that after you've applied and been accepted, but it is expected that it'll be completed before you head to DC. Okay, shifting gears over to Sydney, who's going to talk to you about internships.
Great, thanks, Katie. So internships, so that is the second half of our program title. So Katie talked about the academics. I'll talk a little bit more about the internships. So WAIP has been around for 20 years. It was started by Senator Glenn himself when he returned to Ohio from the Senate in order to bring more Ohio State and Midwest students into our nation's capital where the decisions are being made. So we have been around for 20 years, and we have built strong partnerships with internship sites. That being said, the internship partners that we have are not exhaustive and it's not exclusive. So we really do put the seeking of the internships into the students' hands, and we encourage students to find internships that fit with their interest, with the caveat that the internship or organization is public service focused. So where do our John Glenn Fellows intern? So you can see we have about 21% on Capitol Hill in Hill offices, whether that's on the House or the Senate side, and also throughout Ohio delegation, but also we've had students in the California delegation, New York delegation, wherever your home state may be, the options are there for you. We've also had students in federal agencies such as the Federal Judicial Center or the Department of Justice. In the nonprofit sector, we've had 32% of our students go into the nonprofit sector, and then 8% go into the private sector, research or consulting, and then also 8% go into the private sector, not research or consulting. And I know I just said that the internship does have to be public service focused, but in those private sectors, there's usually a public service focus, such as a government relations team that works with Congress. So that's how we get around that. So the internship search process, we will help you find an internship that matches your academic and professional interests. The metaphor we like to use is that you're in the driver's seat, the student is in the driver's seat, and WAIP staff is in the passenger seat. So you tell us where you want to go, we'll plug it into the GPS, and we will guide you there. But the internship search process is in the student hands, and that whole process is really up to how much the student puts into that work. WAIP students are provided with resume and cover letter support as well as mock interviews, and WAIP staff will be able to help you and review and make edits along the way. But once you are accepted into WAIP, we do guarantee an internship. So we often get this question, how many of our internships are paid? So while we cannot guarantee payment because we do not dictate what internship sites pay their interns or do not, we have seen over the past, I think, year, 47% of our WAIP internships have been paid. 55% of those paid internships have been stipends, 45% are hourly payments. You can see the breakdown of weekly, monthly, semester stipends and their amounts, and then the breakdown of payment per semester. Remember that summer is the most competitive, meaning that students from all over are taking their summer breaks to Washington, D.C. We do see competitiveness in D.C. in general in the fall and the spring as well, but those are the breakdown of paid internships in Washington, D.C. as we've seen them in the WAIP program. Moving on to professional development. So Katie talked about this a bit. So in her 4191.02 class, this is where you'll get the professional development opportunities through two synchronous times together. So professional development workshops, we love acronyms in WAIP, so we often call these PDWs. So PDWs allow students to expand their professional skill set through PDWs, including mock interview nights, salary negotiation workshops, career exploration, professional branding, resume reviews, things like that. And then it's also an opportunity, because these events are often hosted by alumni, it's an opportunity for students to expand their DC network by interacting with these alumni throughout the PDWs. And then moving to study tours. So our internships are Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays, the students have off so we can go on study tours, which allow the WAIP fellows to explore Washington as a group. So study tours are often hosted by WAIP alumni or OSU alumni, which gives fellows, again, the opportunity to connect with DC area Buckeyes. And some notable study tours may include the Library of Congress, the Pentagon, NPR. We've been to a couple embassies in Washington, D.C. And then last summer, summer 2019, we got the chance to go to the Department of Interior and tour the Secretary of Interior's office, which was pretty cool. What does a typical WAIP week look like? So this is what it would look like. So you can see you intern Monday through Thursday, your study tour is on Friday, professional development workshop is some evening during the week, and then your seminar is one evening during the week as well. Okay, so while our program is in person, WAIP does offer housing to students and to fellows. So what does that look like? The housing is billed through your statement of account, so that's great. So you can use your financial aid or any scholarships toward that. Housing is typically offered in DC and within close proximity to the metro, which is DC's public transportation system, which is heavily used by our students. Katie and I also heavily use it because we do not have cars. In Washington, DC, it is a very accessible public transportation system. The housing is also located close to grocery stores and then the Hall of the States where our office is located and other amenities. Estimates below note that these costs are subject to change, but the approximate rent for a semester is $4,750 and a security deposit ranging from $200 to $500, which is due pre-departure, but it will be refunded at the conclusion of the program. Budget breakdown. So these are just things to start thinking about as you explore the possibility of doing WAIP. So WAIP, there's no program fee. You would pay standard tuition, whether you're an in-state student or out-of-state student, you would pay whatever tuition you pay at Ohio State. And then you'd also pay your housing cost for DC. And again, this is billed to your statement of account. And then you wouldn't have to pay any of those campus-based fees like the CODA or the student activity fee or the RPAC fee, things like that. WAIP does offer specific scholarships. So WAIP scholarships are based on need and merit, and then all admitted WAIP students are eligible to apply for a WAIP scholarship regardless of major, and those range from $500 to a full housing scholarship. And then financial aid and other scholarships that you may start thinking of, remember, since you are enrolled full-time at Ohio State, you can use your FAFSA or other Ohio State scholarships available. You can use your STEP funds as well. And then there's also, if you're an honors or scholar student, you can use your honors and scholars enrichment grants. Now I'm going to kick it back over to Katie to talk about some cool opportunities that we've had a chance to explore during WAIP.
Thanks, Sydney. So here we're just illustrating some of the cool things that our students have got to do in the past. So Sydney talked a little bit about the program structure. We typically take students to meet both Ohio senators. So currently we have Senator Sherrod Brown and Senator Rob Portman. So we typically find some time to meet with both of them. I will share that the fall 2020 cohort virtually was able to meet with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and Ohio State falls into her congressional district. And she was just awesome to speak to, even through a screen. So the point is that you will always get to meet at least a couple of elected officials connected to the state of Ohio. Here's some other activities. So we have a really strong emphasis on service, obviously, as the John Glenn College of Public Affairs. So these top two from the left, you can see we go to the DC Central Kitchen and Food and Friends, both work on food security and hunger issues in the DC area. The top right, 4 young women from a couple of years ago went to a salary negotiation workshop hosted by the DC city government. The bottom left is former Defense Secretary Mattis was presented with her Public Service Award, so students got to meet with him. And then of course we got an OHIO with a beautiful day and the Capitol in the background. So we keep you very busy. There's lots of cool stuff to do in DC. Obviously, we want students to get a well-rounded experience. We try to diversify the speakers and sites and service events. So, and I should say, if you are virtual in WAIP, not to fear, you will continue to meet with really engaging and fun speakers. I mentioned Joyce Beatty. We, of course, got to do White House correspondent Tamara Keith just a couple weeks before the election. There have been numerous alumni panels. Students got to go to the ACLU prison project via screen because we have an alum there who graciously set that up. So no matter the format, you will be engaging and seeing the inside, so to speak, of a number of organizations. And moving right along. Just a couple more pictures here. What I wanted to drive home here is our mentorship program, which is still structured into the virtual program if that is the format that you'll participate in. But every student is assigned an alumni mentor. And the mentors are designed to be an added layer of support. So somebody that you can practice those professional development pieces, your elevator pitch, have them look at your resume, have them mock interview you. But they're also someone who is in DC, somebody who went to Ohio State, and maybe most importantly, somebody who understands what it is to be a new young professional just trying to figure it all out. So these are just 2 examples of some of the many fantastic individuals that have given their time and their expertise to mentor our students. And I think that's something really special about our program. But on the left, we have Lorraine Lewis. This is actually 3 of her mentees from different semesters. So she really stays in touch with her mentees. The gal to her right in the floral dress was actually her mentee over 4 years ago at this point. They're still very close and in touch. And then the picture we have over here on the right, The mentor is second from the left. That's Caitlin Nake. She is a fan favorite for WAIP because she also hosts PDWs from time to time, but she's also incredibly generous with her time. She'll often take her mentee as well as any of her mentees' friends or fellow cohort members out to lunch around DC, and again, just gives them incredible and honest professional advice. So that's another aspect of our program that students often benefit from greatly. Okay, application process. So if you're feeling like you like what we're telling you and you're ready to apply, we're going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. So our application is fully online. So if you go to our website, and you can see the URL there, the WAIP program has a pretty built out website, and one of the subpages within it has our application. Important dates will be posted on the website, including application deadlines. At the time of this recording, our spring 2021 deadline had passed, and we are unclear of the exact deadline for summer 2021 and fall 2021, given the uncertainty around COVID. But as I have discussed throughout this PowerPoint, there will be some program. We are just unclear of the format. So please keep in touch, but check the website often to see when those deadlines will be. I will share most typically, your summer, most typically, now this could change because we're living in uncertain times, but in general, your summer deadline is going to be early January, so somewhere in there. So summer, you typically apply in early January. For fall, you typically apply in March, and then for spring, you typically apply in October. All righty. So what does the application entail? So it is a pretty robust application, but as I hope has come across, it's a pretty robust program. So we do take the admission process very seriously. What you will need is a completed application form. Again, that can be found at that link that we just showed you in the last slide. A completed resume, a personal statement or statement of interest, a writing sample that's 5 pages or less, 2 letters of recommendation. And then that's the application, we will review that and score that. There's a committee that reviews those carefully. And if you break to the next round, that would be an interview, either in person or via Zoom, depending on, again, the public health situation. And then overall, throughout every piece of the application process, a genuine interest in public service and public policy is very important. Alrighty. Often we are asked, so, what are you looking for? How can I submit a competitive application? So we came up with this admission criteria, but I do want to say it's a holistic review process. We know that students come to us interested in public service from all over campus, from all different backgrounds. So it's a very holistic review. There isn't like a hard and fast science, right? Like, for example, we don't have a GPA requirement. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the 3 key pieces, but wanted to share that they are fairly broad. Okay, so 1, academic ability. Can you succeed in the classes? So we do look at your GPA and your advising report to see how you've done most recently, if you've taken upper division classes, if you have demonstrated success in upper division coursework. We do look at the GPA, but I will caveat, we do not have a minimum GPA. We understand that GPAs can be complicated. What we really need to know is academic ability at this time, right? So maybe we have had students who started in a major that wasn't a good fit for them at the beginning of their journey at Ohio State as freshmen, and maybe that has affected their GPA. We do take that into account. I'll also share in the note of GPA, we have admitted students under a 3.0, and we have not let in students with a 4.0. Again, it's that holistic review. Your GPA does not make it or break it, but we do need to know that you can succeed in an upper division demanding academic course like 40, 20, and 21. We look at how you've performed in specific classes on that advising report. We do take a careful look at your writing sample, and we look at your ability to manage your time. So are you able to maintain strong academics at Ohio State while maybe working part-time, having completed internships, having a leadership position in a student org? Every student's different, but we do look at how you thrive academically. Placeability. So that is a word we made up, but what it means is, can we place you at an internship site? So do you have relevant experience? Have you had a part-time job? Have you demonstrated that you have customer service and time management and problem-solving skills? Have you already interned before? We're really fortunate in Columbus that the State House is right down the street. There's a number of nonprofits, organizations, campaigns. So we look to see, have you worked part-time? Have you interned? Have you volunteered? Do you have relevant experience? Because DC is really competitive. There needs to be something of value on your resume. Do your interests and expectations align with the program? So are you a student who is open-minded, has a general idea of what they might like to do, but understands that DC is a very vast and opportunity-rich city? And then we do look at those recommendation letters and the personal statement really carefully. We really do. We want to build a cohort of people who share a common thread of interest in public service. You all may have really different ideas about what policy areas are most important or the best pathways forward to engage in public service, but we're looking for that real commitment to public service. Sometimes for letters of recommendation, we're asked who should write those. Please, in general, keep those to people from your collegiate years. I wouldn't necessarily go for like a high school teacher or coach unless there's a very good reason. And I typically say one should be academic and one should be professional. So for professional, maybe it was someone who managed you at a job, at an internship, a volunteer experience even. And then academic, of course, is someone who can speak to your classroom capabilities. And our third piece of criteria, maturity and professionalism. So how will you represent yourself, the Glenn College and Ohio State? I know it can sound pretty serious, and frankly it is, because the university is trusting that we are selecting students that will come to the nation's capital, say, hi, my name is, and I'm here through Ohio State, and make us look good. I don't know how else to say it, but someone who knows the seriousness with that comes with representing Ohio State while you're in DC. You know, you saw those pictures of our former students meeting senators and serving the community here in DC. And all of that is done on behalf of Ohio State. So we want to make sure that students have the requisite levels of maturity and professionalism. So what happens after you get accepted? So the work begins before you even get to DC. I'll just share, a lot of students say, you know, I didn't realize how much work WAIP was going to be before I even set foot in Washington. So I'll just share that now. But a lot of that, of course, is to set yourself up for a successful and wonderful time in DC. And a big part of that is making sure to get that internship. So we do have a pre-departure orientation shortly after students are accepted. You get to meet your cohort at that. Even if it's on Zoom, you'll all be together live. And that pre-departure orientation, that's in Columbus or online. And that's where we introduce students to each other and talk about the next logistical steps. So that's a lot of like, okay, here's what's going to happen in the next 2 months. Here's how you're going to get to DC. Here's how you're going to get placed. Here's what you need to know about housing. All of that fun stuff is in that pre-departure orientation. Shortly after that, we will host a resume and cover letter workshop that's mandatory, and that is to prepare students in applying for DC. Placement calls. Every student will get to do a one-on-one call where they talk to either myself or Sydney. We'll review your resumes, we'll build a placement plan, we'll make sure you're in the best position possible to get an internship that you are happy about. WAIP co-pilots. This is really fun, but every WAIP student is matched with a WAIP alumni peer mentor as another resource before they get to DC and start WAIP. So you get your mentor in DC, and that's someone who has graduated and started their professional life in DC. But before you even come to WAIP and start WAIP, whether it's in DC or on a screen, you are matched with someone who just did WAIP, a semester or two ago. Somebody who is a near peer, somebody who is still at Ohio State as a student, or maybe only recently graduated, and they are there to answer all your questions. And those students have volunteered for that opportunity. They want to mentor and be helpful. So you get a co-pilot, and then pre-departure diversity and inclusion training. So we have, for about the last year, been collaborating with the Multicultural Center at Ohio State, the Kerwin Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity, and Glenn College Leadership up to the dean to design a training for students prior to the departure to DC. And our objective here is to foster more inclusion and understanding of diversity and guidance and support for having difficult conversations. So we will do something pre-departure. I will share that a lot of that work will continue throughout the program because it is a norm and expectation in our program that students value DE&I. Alrighty, so that brings us to the end of our info session. To sum it all up, we hope that you'll consider the Washington Academic Internship Program. It is a gem on Ohio State's campus. It is the way that many of our alumni in Washington, D.C. get their start. I'll also say, even if you don't end up in D.C. or want to end up in D.C. after graduation, that is okay too. Having experience in your nation's capital is always going to be a positive thing, but it's a great way to enrich that Ohio State education and experience. Step outside your comfort zone. It's unlike any other semester you'll do because it is so experiential. It's so real life. You're working near full time, taking classes at night. You live, work, and study in our nation's capital. And our hope is that you make lifelong friendships. Lots of WAIP students often graduate, move back here, and end up living together. So we hope that you'll consider the Washington Academic Internship Program. Sydney and I are very happy to have you reach out to us at any time to talk further. This is supposed to be a baseline, so don't be shy to reach out with further questions, and we hope to see you in DC someday soon.